and welcome back to the MacGuffin tapes with the MacGuffin Cage this time around.
I was like, why are you so unsure? Yeah,
Because
I think
it,
that's gonna be like a bit of trivia about the podcast because when we were thinking about the name for the podcast, a lot of cage related ideas were swirling around.
yeah, you can't see us, but we're here today dressed appropriately in our Nicolas Cage t-shirts. Because yeah, it's a gag among us that we or myself and the guys as well are fans of Nicolas Cage, and it is our first movie about Nicolas Cage.
Actually, yeah, it's kind of a bit of a disgrace that it took us so long to discuss a Nick Cage film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, but
absolutely abomination. What the heck?
first of
Shame on
many.
us.
First of many. Yeah, and specifically we are here to talk about the Surfer. I think I came about it because Allah, you recommended it, or
Yeah,
it
so
was.
that was I think the latest of Nick Cage's escapades. The latest in the collection of weird movies by Nicolas Cage, and that's why we checked it out. I think it's a film from this year, so it's a 2025 film. And I mean, it's kind of or no, actually, it's a 24 film, but I think it kind of got into our attention this year in any case. And it's a very summery vibe. So I guess it was suitable for to watch it now.
Until it isn't really anymore.
I mean, I think it is throughout, no matter what is going on.
I think you can argue, maybe not.
So should we first talk about the film, like the facts of the film, or should we get to the plot straight away?
We can talk a bit about the facts. Do you have any
Okay.
background on the movie?
Yeah, so it's a an Australian-Irish co-production. It is directed by Lorcan Finnegan, who is an Irish director, um, who I think I was actually surprised to find out that I have seen a film of his before. Um, so I think at least according to his Wikipedia page, he began his career in a production company of Charlie Brooker, who is the creator of Black Mirror. And here on the Wikipedia page, it says that he worked as a designer, editor, and then director on Black Mirror, which I personally could not find any information on. I didn't find that he directed any episodes, so I can't really speak for that. But what we know he directed before is Without Name, Vivarium, Nocebo, and The Surfer. And from his filmography, feature film filmography, I have seen Vivarium before, and that's a film um, kind of a sci-fi, a bit of a sci-fi thriller um, from 2019 with Imogen Poots and Jesse Eisenberg. And I would say that both those films, if you kind of look at the background that is mentioned of Black Mirror, I guess you can have this like idea that maybe this film and Vivarium as well, Vivarium even more so actually, could be an episode of Black Mirror. And I think actually this fact kind of helped me a little bit when I was thinking about the film, because when we watched it, I mean, we just watched it and we didn't really set out to analyze it in any way. We just watched it and that was it. But then when we decided that we will talk about it on the podcast, I kind of had to go back and think what the hell even happens in this film because it's very strange, which is very suitable for a Nick Cage film. And I think the fact that he was involved with Black Mirror, and the fact that I have seen one of his films before then helped me come to an understanding of what The Surfer is about.
Yeah, that he worked
So,
with Charlie Brooker makes total sense. And I was thinking the whole time while I was watching the movie that, oh yeah, this reminds me of a Black Mirror episode. I couldn't think of a specific one, but I think there are multiple where there's a character who is sort of alienated and going
mhm,
crazy.
mhm,
Yeah, and it also reminded me a bit about Breaking Bad. I think there's probably an episode in there that's similar, or at least how it's filmed, because it's yeah the weird angles that this movie has,
mhm.
and that it takes place during summer. So I think in Breaking Bad specifically, it's the episode about the fly. I don't know if you've seen it, where Walter White is trapped in his lab and there's a fly going around in the lab, and he's trying to catch it, and he's going crazy because he can't kill this fly. And then at the
Yeah, I
end,
remember that one.
yeah, it's not clear if the fly is real or not, but I think it's, yeah, it reminded me a bit of that. And I don't know if this is a genre in itself, because I feel like this is also some older movies are similar, like this is. I'm thinking maybe Hitchcock, some Hitchcock movie, or some older movies like some neo-noir movies where yeah people start oh, I guess the what's it called, not the apartment,
Rear Window.
rear window, I guess, could be something along those lines. Yeah, isn't that where he, oh yeah, he starts going crazy a bit, the main character, right? Because he sees
I
the
mean, I guess you can say that you get a feeling that he might be going crazy at a
hmm.
certain point, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That feeling
Mhm,
of getting crazy, and what's real and what's not real. So that's how I felt watching this movie, or that's what this movie, I don't know, wants you to feel. And yeah,
mhm,
those are some of the movies this reminded me about.
mhm.
Should we get into the movie?
Yes. So, let's quickly recap what the film is about before we get into the madness of it, because the plot is actually relatively simple. So in the film, the titular character, the surfer, who that's just there are no names in the movie. So the surfer, played by
Nicolas
our
Cage.
our Lord and Savior, Nicolas Cage, returns to his hometown and to the beach where he used to um, surf when he was young. And obviously, Nicolas Cage is an American actor. He speaks as an American too. And how it is explained in the film is that when he was born in Australia and he spent some of his youth in Australia until his father died, and then he moved to the US, and now he is moving back. And he wants to buy his father's house. So he saw this house on the market, and I guess that's how he decided to come back. And I think his son and his wife or his ex-wife are also Australian in the film. So I guess he did spend some time there already before coming back to this town where he was born. So this is kind of the very beginning of the film, and then he is trying to go to the beach with his son to surf, and that's where he is met with hostility from, I guess you could say, a local surf gang.
Mhm.
And I think the gang is actually also based on some real life surf group, I guess, although it's said to be in California, which also kind of makes sense. But in any case, he is then somehow he gets trapped in the parking lot that is beside this beach. And this is basically the whole story. So this is what we're working with here. He is trying to get to the beach. He is trying to surf, but the localism of this gang prevents him from doing so, and we don't really know why, and we are not really told why he can't just leave. And this is actually, again, a very good point because this is where I kind of started my analysis from afterwards. But I don't know, do you want to add something to it, Michael?
No, I think I was surprised. So I thought it took place in Australia, but it takes place in California.
No, it took place in Australia. No,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
What I meant is the gang is based on a real life gang that was based in California, and it was like I think in the 70s.
Hmm.
And that was also kind of similar to what is shown in the film, that there was a lot of localism where the local people would use this spot for surfing and they would not let any other people surf there. And that's the line in the film that is, I think, very important is don't live here, don't surf here. And that's what is being said kind of to the character of Nick Cage throughout the film by this gang or by the gang members.
Hmm.
I have also something small to add that I already told you when we were watching the movie that this surfing gang and just their kind of cottage they have, or whatever you call it, or the
The
clubhouse.
little bungalow, yeah.
Yeah, the bungalow. That very much all reminded me of this Big Lebowski scene with Jackie Treehorn and this like group of people. There, this one scene. If I don't know if you remember when he gets drugged afterwards.
Yeah, I guess we'll get to it, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Jackie Treehorn.
It's just really like I watch it and like this is the same. Feels exactly the same. The entire
Yeah, I
vibe
think
is
it's an important scene there. I think we'll get to it still. Um, but if I may start with what I wanted to say.
Yep.
So, when I was thinking about it, when we were watching, actually, first of all, when we were watching, obviously you get this feeling like, what the hell's going on? Why can't he just leave? And I think it's kind of obvious that the story does not adhere to any kind of realistic rules and expectations. And so when I started thinking about it, I thought the characters don't have names. Um, there is no really like no logic to the film, so it has its own logic basically. So it is at this point pretty clear that it is a little more archetypal and allegoric in its nature rather than a realistic story. So what I think you have to do is break it down to a very basic story. Yeah, so and then I started thinking, so what are the motivations of the characters? Why they are doing what they're doing? I mean, specifically the surfer. Why is he doing what he's doing? What is he trying to do? Where are we in the story in the very beginning? What kind of character is he? And obviously, the first time we meet him, he is um, a father and a son. He is a son who came back to his hometown of his childhood. He is trying to buy a house that once belonged to his father. So that's kind of a question of legacy, I guess, question of manhood to some extent, and trying to reclaim something that was yours, trying to go back somewhere. And then he is, I guess, going through some identity crisis at the same time because clearly his son does not really respect him. There is no real connection to his son, I think, is what we gather from a very short scene with his son. And he is basically failing at everything. I mean, if you can say that, if you just like put it very bluntly and basically, is he is failing as a son, he is failing as a father, he is failing as a husband because he is, I think, in the process of getting a divorce with his wife. He kind of wants to, I guess, go back to his glory days where he was young in this town and he was part of this community, maybe, if you can say that, or it's just the freedom of being there and being young. And um, that's, I guess, where I will leave it for now. I still have a lot more.
Hmm. Do I remember correctly? He he had some troubles in at his work, like there was like a deal that was about to
Mm.
close or something. Do I
I
remember this
thought it
correctly?
was, it doesn't it always only have to do with the house? I'm not actually sure now, but I thought that was about the deal on the house that he couldn't
Yeah.
get the money for, or he
Yeah,
wasn't
exactly.
quick
But I think
enough.
in because he throughout the movie, or at least at the beginning, he talks to his broker to
Hmm.
close the deal on this house, and I think on one or two occasions he mentions something about his financial situation, like how is it going with his company,
Hmm.
and I think there is a line thrown in there, sort of hinting at that maybe his company isn't doing that well, but maybe I misremember this. So.
Hmm. No, you could be right because obviously he cannot get more money. He is already the money that he's offering for this house is I think all he has because then the broker tells him you need to get more money or you either need to be quicker or you need to bring more money because there are other people who are interested in the house. And that's kind of what the struggle is about, right?
Mhm. Yeah, but I agree also that it's very allegorical, or maybe it's like a parable or a
Hmm.
fable, because at the beginning when he arrives, there are a couple of items that let you know his current state of mind or where he's at or his status, like his car. I don't remember the brand of the car, but a brand new fancy car, and then his clothes, which are I don't know. I think he's wearing a suit and his glasses and all of these things that show status, and you think, oh, okay, this guy's very successful. But as the movie goes on, we get to know that yeah, maybe this is all for show or mostly for show.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, also, I think what speaks a lot to the fact that it might be, or it is kind of designed as a fable, is the music, which I don't know, Michael, that's usually your thing, but I kind of checked it out. I don't know if you listened to it separately or
No,
you
I have to say
noticed it.
no. No.
So I obviously while we were watching, we heard it and but somehow it didn't stick with me what the music was. And then I listened to it again just independently of the film, and it literally all sounds like fairy tale music. If you listen to it, it just is like, those like very fairy tale-y sounds that you hear in, I don't know, in like Disney films. If you just listen to it and considering that it kind of deals with a lot of difficult matter as well, this film, it's very interesting to notice how the music is very light and just like so dreamy. And I
Yeah.
think this just solidified my theory that it is very allegoric and very basic in its nature, basic in terms of structure. And that was yeah, a good sign for me that I'm going in the right direction with my thinking.
Yeah, but that's a good point. I might listen to it again because yeah, I guess it is very dreamy and relaxing. It might be a good summer soundtrack, so I might listen to that.
Well,
Um,
also a lot of them are called Dream, and then the number. So I think it is supposed to be kind of dreamy. And yeah, it's I think doing its job really.
mhm. But yeah, dreamy is a good way to describe this movie. And before you also mentioned that, well, did you say it wasn't that logical or unrealistic? So, so maybe I would push back a little bit on that everything that happens is realistic in the sense that it's yeah, there's no magic involved, let's say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just saying it's like the logic of the film is kind of separate from our logic. It's like the fact that he gets trapped in this parking lot and he can't leave is what I mean when I say it's not logical because I mean it's logical in its own universe, I guess you can say. So it has its own logic, but it that's why while we were watching the whole way, we were like, why can't he just leave? Just
Yeah.
go. But like obviously he does not, and that he doesn't even intend to really. And that's the question, right?
Well, two things here. I mean, the why doesn't he leave? I guess this is because he's obsessed. He wants to see this through, like getting this. Two things. He wants to get the house, and the second thing that he really wants to do is surf the wave with his son. I think he mentioned this a couple of times. That's a dream that he had. But maybe the second thing that's not logical or a bit magical is his interaction with the people, because the people react or act in a way that's not common practice. Or for example, I think in one scene, this is maybe halfway through the movie when I think his phone battery dies, right?
Mhm.
And then he goes to a pop-up cafe that's on that beach, or not on the beach, but on the parking lot. And
Mhm.
he asks the guy if he could charge his phone. And then he says, "Oh, well, okay, first you have to buy a coffee." And then there's this whole
Mhm.
thing that he doesn't want to buy a coffee, and he ends up getting one anyway. And then he gives him the phone. And on the next day, when he returns to ask for his phone, the guy from the shop doesn't have the phone anymore, or sold it, or I don't
And
remember
as if
exactly
he
what happened.
doesn't recognize him or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So like every second.
This is exactly the scene that I thought of when you said the interactions with the people, and that's like that was the scene that I thought of because this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
exactly the best illustrator of it.
So on the next day, it's like he didn't remember what happened, and so that's where you as a viewer gets what's the word? Disconcerted, or what's the word I'm looking for? Uh,
Disconcerted.
Disconcerted. Thank you. That, like, what is happening? Is this real or not? Is this a dream or not?
Mhm.
And there are a couple of scenes that work like that.
I mean, I was also kind of thinking if we just look at the symbols at the or we look at the setting as a symbol. So we have the house on land, then we have the beach, and then we also have the parking lot that is adjacent to the beach, and then we have the sea, right? And it's kind of like I don't know what the logic here was behind the story, but I was thinking that it doesn't make sense that he would want both things in the sense that if you break it down and the house that his father used to own could be, first of all, a house on land is an anchor, right? It's something somewhere where you belong. And the sea and surfing is kind of like letting go of control and it's freedom, right? So it's as if like he wants both, but he can't get either. And it's almost not logical to want both because they are almost, I mean, they don't cancel each other out, but they are the opposites. Yeah, they are opposed to each other because one is being anchored and another one is being free.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then if you look into this logic and the goal of the story is the sea and freedom and surfing, then it's okay. I got into very biblical things with that, but hear me out. So let's say the sea is heaven, and that's where he wants to go. And then that makes the beach the purgatory and the parking lot hell.
Yeah.
So he wants to go to heaven, but for that, he first has to go through hell to be admitted to the purgatory, and then he goes on to heaven. I don't
Yeah, yeah,
know.
yeah. No, that makes
Maybe I'm
sense. I
just
mean,
going way too far with it, but
yeah,
that's
yeah,
kind of
you
what I
could
was thinking.
you could definitely interpret it like that. But I think that's a great point what you how you distinguish between what he so that he wants two things, but he can have both. And I was thinking it's similar. You mentioned he's a son and a father, and we learned that he actually his father shot himself when he was very young. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's kind of contradictory that he wants to be a good son, or that he wants to, I don't know, that he still remembers those, well, yeah, nice, experiences he had with his dad, but on the other hand, you also want to move past that, huh? And then with his son, I guess he wants to have a new life or move on or live new experiences. So I guess that contradiction, I see that in there as well.
And also, I think again, if we get back to the symbol of the house, it is, as we said, maybe looking for his identity or trying to reclaim his identity and his past. And because father, son, and house, it's like very, how should you put it? It's kind of patriarchic in a way. So I guess this is where we get to the topic of masculinity. That's like the kind of the first introduction into it. And then we get to the topic of masculinity with the gang, right? Because that is the embodiment of toxic masculinity. And this is what I had the most issue with, trying to understand what the purpose of it was. Like what were they trying to say with that?
I think it's also interesting, like the house is an anchor because it depends on, I mean, everyone has something like that from their past, but it depends on how you view it. So you could view the house as or associate it with the nice memories he had there growing up there, or maybe he associates that with the trauma of losing his dad. But I guess it's a matter of perspective, like how you remember it and how you keep it. And yeah, going back to the purgatory and the parking lot, yeah, I guess that's sort of allegorical. That's the test, sort of, huh? Like that he has to go through. And I remember realizing quite early that okay, the parking lot is a test, but I can't pinpoint a scene or a moment where I realized that. How was it for you? When did you start realizing the logic of the movie in the sense that, oh, okay, this is a test or this is a hurdle he has to go through?
I don't think I ever realized it. I don't know how it was for Dario, but I don't think while we were watching, we were thinking about that, because I think it was just kind of, we were first trying to find the logic. We were first trying to understand what the hell's going on. But then at some point we were kind of like, okay, we will let it go and then just see where this leads. And I think we were not really doing any kind of analysis while we were watching it. The only thing that was really always bugging me was, is that like real or is it not? Or is there some kind of I don't know, some kind of like alternative universe kind of thing involved because of the character of the bum?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yep.
basically he kind of, at some point they kind of start living in parallel to each other, or the surfer starts to repeat the trajectory of the bomb. And so I was kind of like, is this like some magical realism, or is this some kind of an idea that he then becomes him and the bomb is just gonna like disappear, and now that's Nick Cage and like whatever. But I don't know. I get like the movie didn't really answer that question for me. I still kind of am lost with the bomb a little bit, and as I am a little bit lost with the gang itself.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my questions are still unanswered.
Yeah.
So I can't
No,
really say that I did understand it about the trials and tests.
but absolutely, like what you said, that I think that's when I realized that this was sort of a test when you got to see the parallels between the bum, the homeless guy, and Nicolas Cage. And yeah, at the beginning you're a bit thrown off of because of how this gang reacts. It's sort of, how to put it, abusive, or they bully. Well, they abuse the bum, and they're bullying everyone who's not from there. Um, yeah, at the beginning and in the middle of the movie, that's also the question: uh, is this real or not? Because you have that parallel between the bum and the surfer. So the question is, will he turn into the bum? He
Yeah,
sort of turns into the bum, but at the end, will we
but
get
not
a
really, because the
magical?
bomb then returns, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at the end of the movie, there is no magic involved, but um, through throughout the movie, you question yourself, oh, maybe there is a magic element to it.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
I
so I
had,
guess
oh yes,
throughout, go ahead.
yeah, I remembered something. So I think having like parallel characters is also something that appears a lot in movies, and there's one example I could think of that's sort of similar. That was in Guillermo del Toro's movie. I think his last one. What was this called? With where he's sort of a detective. What's his name? The guy from there, you know, it's the guy from The Hangover, the one of the main guys.
Well, one of the Hangover groups or like a
Yeah,
side
yeah,
character?
yeah, yeah.
And Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper, that's right. So Bradley Cooper in I think in the movie with Guillermo del Toro, he is sort of a detective, but there's also like a guy in a cage in a circus, and at the end, Bradley Cooper sort of turns into that guy. So
Uh-huh.
that's one example I could think of where these like parallel figures appear,
Wasn't it
but
oh my goodness, what's it called? Nightmare Alley.
Nightmare Alley, that's right, that's the name of the movie. Yeah. Mhm. But I think there are multiple of examples that we could look up where these things happen.
I have a question. The bomb, I forgot whether or not he at some point in the movie disappears or if he returns or something happens to him, right? But
Mm-hmm.
like coming back to your thought of, okay, at some point is Cage becoming him and he disappears? Help me out here. What happened? Or is that too much of a spoiler?
It is a bit of a it's a kind of the major spoiler of the film, but he does return, and I think the idea is that maybe the at some point the trajectories are indeed going in parallel, but the bomb kind of represents the more extreme outcome, or like completely losing yourself to an obsessive idea or something like that, where Nick Cage kind of does find a way out. So he passes the tests, right? To a certain extent, and then he can go on from there where the
Mm,
bomb did not. Is
mm.
kind of how I see it in the story. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, do we say those spoilers? I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
those are
spoiler
kind of
first.
major
Or you
spoilers.
just give a heads up, spoiler incoming, and then
So,
people can.
major spoiler alert. Skip about 20 seconds if you don't want to hear it, but uh, the bomb in by the end of the film where Nick Cage is on the beach with the gang, and he is part of them now, like part of the group now. The bomb comes back and he shoots everybody, but Nick Cage and his son, I think, and then himself too, because he is trying to avenge his son, who he thinks the gang killed. That was the
I
idea, right?
I think he just shoots Scully, the leader of the group.
Really? Not everybody else? I thought
No,
he.
I think a couple of them run away. I don't know if he shoots one like he hurts one, like, but I
Mhm.
think most of them get away.
Okay, but in any case, yeah, I think he shoots Skelly and himself. Speaking of Skelly, uh, that's kind of also, I think, the reason why I wanted to talk about the film is because Skelly is played by Julian McMahon. Um, the great role here as well. But Julian McMahon passed away a few weeks ago, actually, from cancer, I believe. And that was like his last film, his last
Yeah,
movie that was released.
yeah, one of his last. Yeah, I was really surprised. I only knew him from the original Fantastic Four movies where he played the bad
All
guy.
right.
So I was surprised to hear his Australian accent, and I thought it was really
Oh
cool.
yeah,
And
yeah.
but he
He
was
was
also,
Australian, right? So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's kind of, yeah, not really something I knew because or initially knew, because yeah, he usually played in American productions and had an American accent.
Yeah, I think his other big role was in Nip Tuck or Nip, yeah, the
Yeah, Nip
series
Tuck, yeah.
about lawyers. Yeah,
Wait,
but
what?
yeah,
About no,
is it
about
not about lawyers?
I thought it was about like beauty surgeons.
Okay, yeah, that
Same.
makes more sense. I get confused with I thought that
With
was like
suits.
suits. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I mean, obviously, for us witch girlies out there, he is Cole from Charmed. That's like the first and the best, you know?
mhm. Yeah, but I mean, it's great that it's set in Australia and that the gang is Australian because yeah, that's like the foreigner arrives at this place and he has to follow the rules of the locals and
hmm And maybe it's even more of a twist, the fact that he is technically from there, but he is a foreigner and an outsider in any other sense because he doesn't speak like in an Australian way, and he is not really from there. He hasn't been living there for many, many years. So he is as if, yeah, he's trying to get back to what he lost, even in that sense.
mhm. Yeah, and I don't know if well, I don't know if you get to see what's like typical Australian mannerism and behavior, but I guess what you can see about the surfer character is that he is a businessman and the values he has are those of a businessman. So I guess those don't fit with the I don't know the values of a surfer gang who are like living in the moment and
Mm-hmm.
uh, and the camaraderie they have. Although that we then don't get to see as much, I think, in this
Mm-hmm.
movie.
But also, there is a scene in the film where, I mean, I think it's happening around Christmas time. Obviously, in Australia, it's peak summer. And so they there is a scene where the surfers are going to the beach with their families. So they're all going as a group, plus their families, plus their kids. And I think this is another kind of um, like a scene that shows their competence as men and his incompetence because he is by this point is already completely deranged. He's been living out of this car and eating rats and all kinds of stuff. So I think, sees that as an embodiment of the masculinity he strives for. And this is the twist, right? That this, as if maybe he is thinking that in order to be a successful man, you have to be a certain way. And clearly they embody that, and he does not. So the toxic masculinity is shown almost as the only way to be successful as a man, which obviously then does not work out. So it's like a cautionary tale almost.
Mhm.
But I think maybe that was the idea of the scene, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess what you can value from the surfer group and their mentality is in a way that alpha mentality that the Scully preaches because we get to know that he's sort of like a I don't know like an influencer or like a guru or something along those lines. And I think an important value is that confidence that you have to succeed. I mean, and although here I mean the surfer gang, it's more a bit like you said, the toxic masculinity or yeah, and the movie serves as a cautionary tale. But I guess yeah, the confidence is something that you need to succeed. Maybe I was thinking that we were talking about the bum before, and yeah, I think he is also like the future of Nicolas Cage because for example, in one scene where he goes to the bathroom, the surfer then gets into a stall, and then he watches the bum who gets into the bathroom and hides something on near the window, top of the window, and then once the bum leaves, the surfer goes to have a look, and I think that's where he finds his gun.
hmm
And then there are a couple of steps where he's sort of yeah following his steps or learning from the bum. So yeah, but maybe we could get a bit into like the evolution or the process the surfer or Cage goes through in this movie. I specifically wanted to talk about his sort of decay because he gets from looking very sharp in his suit, very clean, and then I think one of the first thing that happens is he spills coffee on his suit,
Mm.
and then from that it starts going downhill. It gets worse and worse for him. What do you guys remember? What else happens to him, like in that turns him into the bum?
I mean, obviously he is in this parking lot and under the scorching sun and no water also, and so I guess the dehydration is the main reason of why he becomes that. I mean, also sun burns and
That's
then
a good point. I mean, the makeup is great. Once I think throughout the movie, his skin gets redder and redder, and they do a good job with the
yeah,
makeup.
although I don't really know. I mean, listen, so he's like very gingery the whole time. And like he has a very ginger beard and hair, and I think it's kind of clear that this is fake. Like it's a wig, and I don't really know if it is a good job or if it was the purpose that it looks like that. And so it's kind of hard to judge whether it's done like that kind of on purpose, which makes it good, or if it wasn't done like that on purpose and it just kind of looks bad, but then it's bad. But yeah, I guess this ambiguity is following this film every step of the way. So I guess a good part of it.
And another thing, I think the public bathroom scenes are also kind of, that's where it gets really bad, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember what happens in the bathroom?
I mean, with the dog and the drinking fountain, that thing is like the worst.
Yeah, exactly. That scene with shit definitely is on the edge there. And he
Yeah,
gets bitten by the dog, right? So,
I'm not sure anymore.
and then he starts to probably also not walk very nicely, which is also a typical bum thing to do, I feel like.
I know you're right. I think he does get bitten by the dog, and I think he even considers, shooting the dog, but in the end he
Yeah,
doesn't do
true.
it. Huh? Yeah. But yeah, then there's this what you call this fountain where he can drink water, and because he had run out of water, and then
Mhm.
I guess some of the gang members had placed some shit on that fountain so that he's not able to drink,
Mhm.
and then yeah, that's when it starts getting worse and worse. Doesn't
And I
he
mean, obviously,
lose?
because of dehydration, he then starts hallucinating at some point.
Yeah, doesn't he lose his shoe at some point as well? Because I remember, doesn't he?
True.
Yes, something like that.
True. Yeah, that's also one of the
I
yeah.
didn't catalog or all his misfortunes because that would have been way too annoying.
It just hurt. It just
It
hurt a
hurts
lot.
to watch the guy.
No, I think that's amazing. That's super interesting. What else? Doesn't he have like an infection as well? He gets caught on his foot, I think, or something, and then his foot starts getting infected. I don't remember if it
Not
was his
sure.
foot.
Hmm.
And that's one thing that happens. And well, of course, his car gets what happens to his car again? At some point, this local cop arrives and then he tells him that he has to leave. And do they set? No, they take his car away at some point, I think.
Hmm.
Right?
Yep. Yep. And then he
And
kind of has to graduate to using the bomb's car.
yeah, yeah. Um, and then there's one scene where he almost eats a rat. Is that correct? Because he doesn't have any food.
Hmm.
Does he eat the rat or
He
not? I
he
think,
definitely kills the rat. I'm
yeah.
not sure. There's like something going on with the rat. I don't remember what exactly it is, but I think it's something very major. But I guess that's the reason for people to check it out. Um, is it's definitely used as a prop throughout the
Mhm.
film. The dead rat, I think he puts it in his pocket, but then like what happens to it afterwards, I don't really remember.
No, that's right. I think now I remember. I think once he gets into the bum's car and he starts looking for something, he gets bitten by the rat, and then that's where that's
Hmm.
oh shit, rabies. And then he kills the rat and puts it in his pocket. and he considers eating the rat at some point, but thank God he doesn't eat the rat. But this is, I think, where Nicolas Cage as casted as the surfer is great because
It's just the best.
because I can tell he really enjoys doing that stuff.
But like, can you tell me who in the world would also do this job very well? Nobody. Nobody would be suitable for this role but Nicolas Cage.
No, I feel like there are a couple of actors who there's one I could think of in the moment, but I forgot. Maybe it was someone from Breaking Bad, but yeah, I mean, but you can see that Nicolas Cage is really enjoying this, doing especially the manic part, and when he starts
Yeah.
turning into the bum.
No, he's
What?
just perfect. This
Yeah,
is the thing. He's just, yeah.
and I think
He's
then
exactly perfect for such roles.
when he starts getting manic, that's also where he starts sort of shouting to people or acting weird. I think there's at one point where some French tourists arrive and he tells them not to go to the beach, and they sort of don't really believe him, and then they come back and they had been beaten by the surfer gang. You also mentioned that when he gets into the bum's car, I think that's significant for the movie because that's where he finds this token from, I think, the bum's son. I don't remember if it was a pendant or a picture.
Yeah.
I think it was a pendant read with like a tooth or something.
Yeah, there was, I think that was um uh I think that was a prize of a surfing competition. So that's something that he won.
Mhm. Yeah. I think they do a makeup job on him. Yeah, it's up to debate if it's bad or bad on purpose, but I think it's great how his clothes starts turning more yellow and dirty, and he's barefoot, and he resembles the bum more and more. Um, and I guess then later one of the most important scenes is when he actually goes and confronts the gang, like almost at the end of the movie, right?
So I think the thing is that he gets to a point, he never really confronts the gang. I mean, he confronts them all throughout, but the way that the movie kind of wraps up and where we get to the Jackie Treehorn scene, right, is he gets to a point where he is so crazy and unhinged that Scally basically says, "Okay, that was a test and you pass. I was testing you and you passed," as Jack Black would say it. And so he then allows him to go to the beach. He becomes kind of the part of the group, part of this gang, and he then hangs out with them. And there's some kind of an initiation ritual where the group takes drugs and they just hang out in this bungalow on the beach uh, throughout the night. And yeah, that's basically it. He is part of the group now after that.
Mm-hmm. It's true that there is a ritual involved.
Mhm.
Um, I think
And I
they
must say, this is
submerge
for
him in
me, this
the
is the best scene of the film. Is this like dreamy hallucinations scene?
yeah, it's a
The
well done scene. Huh? Don't they submerge him into the ocean as well, or into the water as well as part of the ritual after the fight? I think I remember that. But then, yeah, that's they take drugs together, and he also gets his what's the word? He gets
yeah,
branded.
he gets branded. That's
Hmm.
true.
Yeah.
Another
Uh,
another symbol of the masculinity we don't want to be associated with.
then they even take care of his injuries because one of the members of the gang is a doctor, as we get to know, huh?
Hmm. And
And
then the
then,
broker is also turns out to be one of the gang members.
yeah, so everyone is part of the gang. But yeah,
Everyone's in on it.
the initiation scene is great from a filmmaking perspective because they use these camera effects that it makes it look well. They spin the camera around, and then they make it look like it's a like kaleidoscope. I think at the end of that scene we sort of get to see like what sort of visions what the surfer sees, and it looks like a kaleidoscope in a way. So that's well done. But I think also more at the beginning of the movie, it's I guess they use a digital camera, but I like how, I don't know if it's the lens they use, but later once you start to get more manic, I think it's the angles more from down below and diagonal to show like him getting crazier and crazier. But at the beginning, I also really like the very pristine way that the summer is shot.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few shots of nature there too. There's some shots of some animals, um, and I mean generally also I think there's some kind of a bird that keeps almost laughing at the surfer because it always comes in those scenes where he's going through something, and then you hear this specific bird call that I guess is a very typical Australian bird that we wouldn't have anywhere here, and the sound that it makes almost sounds like a laugh.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a nice detail. So I actually didn't remember that, but yeah, now it makes total sense, and that's I think that's probably a typical bird from that region, I would guess. We talked about pretty much everything from this movie.
Yeah, I
Any?
mean, still the problem that I have with this film, or like not the problem that I have, but the still what I don't understand is really the symbolism of the gang and the ending really, because I don't know, it seems to me like there are a lot of details or a lot of characters, a bit more characters than maybe would make sense for a fable and a story like that, if it really were that basic, um, to really just be so simple. It is way more layered than a fairy tale, let's say, would be. But that's exactly why I can't really grasp a lot of things that maybe they were trying to say, I think. And one of them is the gang and the symbolism of it, and then the bomb. Like, what exactly is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And what's going on in this film? What like I don't get anything actually. But
Yeah.
yeah, those things really are a bit confusing to me, and I still never really understood it, even after I was thinking about it for quite some time. Yeah, but I don't know if that's just, if there is no answer to it, and that's just to be born in a discussion.
No, but I think it is close to a fable like we talked about. And here looking at the cast list, I mean there are like 10 characters that get mentioned here on the Wikipedia page, so it's quite a small amount of characters. So in that sense, it is quite simple and
Yeah, I mean, it is not over saturated with characters. That's true,
mhm.
but the functions of the characters are just not always very clear cut to me personally.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess that's where you make it a bit more realistic, right? So there are some differences between the gang members, or there are some layers to it that makes it a bit more realistic, and that plays into that doubt that we have: is this real or not? And
Yeah, but
as
see, that's what I also mean. It's like it's not really realistic enough to be realistic, but it's also not, how should I even put it? It's not unrealistic enough to be a total fable, right? So it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
very much in between, and
Hmm.
it kind of like dips the toe here and there into either, and then you're just like confused even more because it's not going full blown into one direction. And so it's not, yeah, for me, not really clear what the point of some of the things was.
I think I take it as it is. Like I totally I get what you're saying, and I feel the same way. But I can be comfortable with that it doesn't have to be like a clear cut ending. Yeah, the ending is I interpret it as like you mentioned before, that at the end he is sort of moving on because Um, he actually gets to surf with his son. He's looking forward, and in the back we see the bum who gets shot himself, who sort of represents his father and his past. And he's moving away from that, and he's not looking back. So for me, it is moving on. Yeah, for me, what's maybe not so clear is what else do the bum and the gang represent? I guess some of the values that he wants to leave behind, or some things that he learned throughout his life that he really doesn't associate with, or that he's
Yeah,
not
but
comfortable with.
you see, it's just also like if we say the toxic masculinity is represented in a way that as if the character, the surfer, he thinks that this is what you have to embody to achieve success as a man. But then again, he is not like that himself. He's more of
No,
a
no.
passive character. And so
Hmm.
I don't understand why he would think that if he is not like that. If he really embodied that himself, then I would understand that.
No,
It's
I think
something that he
he
has to leave behind, you know? But here in that case, it's not really that.
I think he doesn't embody the toxic masculinity. It's more about, like you said, the Scully is a cautionary tale because he gets shot at the end. So
Hmm.
um, that's what he doesn't want to
Hmm.
take away from that experience. But what he does want to take away is the confidence he needs to confront some of the challenges challenges that he's facing in his life.
Hmm.
That's how I interpret it. That's how the movie makes sense to me. But yeah, it's
All
just an
right.
interpretation. Maybe to close off, should we get a bit into our god, like you said, Nicolas Cage?
Nicolas
Mm,
Cage. Yeah, I would say
definitely a must.
yeah, I think finally we got to the point where we discuss a Nick Cage film on this podcast. I mean, high time. And not a bad pick either. It's pretty good. And I mean, it just showcases all of the Cage power in this film, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking, or I was looking at his filmography, and I'm liking this last phase that he's in of his career, because a lot of great films we had, most of them we saw together as well. We
Hmm.
saw like Dream Scenario, Massive Talent. What else?
I
Well,
think
you
it's
haven't
just
seen this
like
one, but
it became very
he,
meta at this point.
yeah, but it's sort of also like some independent project, but interesting projects. Then what else do I have here? Mandy, which I haven't seen yet, but I think it's like I really want to see. Then Renfield, we also saw together. So I think he's doing very interesting project in this last phase.
I think
And
so
maybe the
too.
phase before is where he was doing some, like in the early 2000s, is where he was doing some projects that, yeah, some might say they are questionable or are more like popcorn movies. Um, but the guy's always working, so
Yeah.
that's great.
I mean, I guess you can say that some of his filmography or the majority of his filmography are kind of B movies, but then again, you know, B movies are known to become cult classics, so why not? And also, by the way, I found while I was looking into some reviews of The Surfer for while I was researching for the podcast, the Guardian said the perfect phrase to describe this movie, and it was gloriously demented. And I thought that's just the perfect phrase to describe this film.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, also Longlegs, did you mention that?
Oh no, I didn't. But yeah, also another great movie. I mean, now it's maybe also B movies or independent movies, but I mean the characters are really interesting. Or yeah,
Hmm.
he works with some interesting directors or collaborators. So I'm really enjoying the last
Hmm.
movies that he did. So I
I would
guess I
really like
asked,
to watch Pig because I haven't seen that yet. I think you have.
yeah,
And then there was
yeah.
also What was this with also some kind of a short name of the film, I think. Um, that was also
Um,
not too long
this is an
ago.
older one, but I forgot completely that I had seen it. This adaptation. I don't know if you guys have seen
Rings a
adaptation.
bell.
Yeah, adaptation.
Haven't we
I
seen
mean,
it recently even?
we saw it last time when we were in New Hampshire. Do you remember? But
No.
we didn't finish it.
Oh, so it must have not been great
It's
then.
just a very no, it's just a very specific type of film. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem finishing it. It's just I think it's not really your type of film, and it's a Charlie Kaufman written film, and he just writes in this like very specific way. I mean, also being John Malkovich is from the same writer,
Hmm.
and you also
Hmm.
didn't want to finish that, Dario. So
Yeah.
those are the gloriously demented films that that are just not your thing.
Yeah, there is a limit to everything, yeah.
Yeah.
But in adaptation, he plays twins, and then
Hmm.
something similar he did in Face Off, which is another very beloved movie, and I think he's awesome in that as well. What are some of his movies that? What are your favorites? And on the other hand, what's maybe one of his movies that you want to see next?
So the favorite is obviously Dario, you can say it.
National Treasure, I presume.
National Treasure is definitely something that we watch regularly. I would say we rewatch this film probably at least once a year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it should.
agree. I
What?
mean, this definitely has, like, also from my personal taste, the best movie he's been in.
Hmm.
I do really enjoy Massive Talent too, though. I think it was
Yeah,
great.
that's why we're wearing the shirts today. Our matching Pedro Pascal, Nicolas Cage shirts.
Yeah.
Uh, Nicolas Cage, instead of because he can't get a knighthood, he should get like a title, national treasure.
Yeah, definitely.
Great idea. You should go forward and suggest to the administration.
Yeah, but I love that movie too. I think I mentioned it to you guys that there's from this year a movie also like in this sort of Indiana Jones genre with Jim from The Office is in there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Uh, and I thought that one wasn't as great. I think National Treasure, I mean, the way the clues are presented and stuff is very good.
What about Dream
Also,
Scenario, guys?
Dream
Quite.
Scenario was pretty good. I don't know, like I was trying to push it a little bit more in our programming group last year or the year before that, and people were like, "Oh yeah, but that's a Nicolas Cage film," and I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like,
You
"Yeah,
know
yeah, good
nothing.
joke," and I'm like, "What the hell?" I actually mean it. But I think people are just prejudiced against Nicolas Cage, and I really dislike it. Like, he is riding the wave of memery right now. He is just like, he became the meme. He now embodies the meme, you know? He's doing it right. And so you should watch out. And I think Dream Scenario is just also perfect. It's just a great film, and it's perfect to describe, I think, the phase that he's in. And also, so is actually Massive Talent, because Massive Talent is as meta of a film as it gets about Nicolas Cage.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I just looked through his filmography and I spotted one that I completely forgot, but I definitely want to mention here. Lord of War is a great
Uh,
movie, genuinely great movie.
I thought you will say Gone in 60 Seconds. Okay,
Also
that's
good
right.
movie, also good movie, but Lord of War I would say is probably, I mean, I watched that movie many times when I was younger, and I mean it's definitely where National Treasure is on the list as well from his movies in my opinion.
Mhm.
I don't know
He's
if you
also
share it.
so he's also so versatile because I mean Dream Scenario is a bit similar in some regards to Surfer that it's sort of a yeah situation that's completely different from normal, but like yeah I mean the last movies he did like Dream Scenario, Long Legs, Pig, he plays completely different characters, and then you go back to National Treasure where he did it like sort of more action or Gone in 60 Seconds, and he did horror, he did comedy, he did action, he did everything. And
Yeah, I mean, what range?
yeah,
Who else does that? I mean, I don't know. I think he just really gets a bad rep, and I don't understand it. And people are just really prejudiced, and they're not willing to look past the meme effect, and that's just really the mistake, I think.
maybe one thing that puts off some people is that this acting style that he has, that's branded shamanic acting style. And I feel that
Is that an actual term?
I think if you look on the Wikipedia page, it says that, yeah, shamanic, like, and it is you can always see it in a sense, but I think that there's degrees of how out there he is, and I think in his last movies he's much more subtle than maybe in previous roles. But yeah, Lord of War is for sure one I would like to see. And then is that the one he? No, what's the movie he won his Oscar for?
Wasn't it this one then?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I'm not sure, but his Oscar one I definitely want to see as well.
Leaving Las Vegas. Wait, let me quickly see. Yeah, Leaving Las Vegas, 1995.
Hmm.
I mean, I haven't seen a lot of his older films, so maybe that would be something to check out. But from the later phase, I would like to see Pig and I would like to see Joe.
Hmm.
And I also think those are more serious roles. So this is not the the demented phase. That's more the later movies, but kind of serious films, more serious roles.
You know what? Which movie also, or at least the poster looks demented as well. That is quite a recent one. The Retirement Plan. Has anybody seen it?
Yeah, the poster kind of looks like Massive Talent a little bit,
Yeah, it
but I
looks
haven't seen
again
it.
like completely like he's some crazy dude.
Is it like an action comedy or something like that?
Let me check. Came out in 2023. IMDb rating of 5.1. Um, oh, this is why in German? How does IMDb not show the genre of the movie? I don't get it. Well, no
It's
clue.
just not, you don't look there. You just check on Wikipedia or something.
Let's see.
Yeah, but I guess the three phases of his career are like serious movies, more at the beginning, and then early 2000s is where does a lot of B movies and sort of low budget and not great quality, if you will. And now his last phase is sort of his wacky phase, which it's also like independent movies, but some of them I think are great.
Mhm. No, I think he's doing a great job, and whoever his like agent is, I think they're also doing their job correctly. Because like
Hmm.
he really, they are just monetizing the memery.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
But does he appear in memes that much anymore? I don't know. I don't follow memes as much,
He
but
is the meme. He
yeah.
is the walking meme. I mean, he is it. The light, the if you consider them like a meme, a kind of a visual meme, I think the one with Pedro Pascal is probably the latest one, which
Mhm.
is not that young anymore, but it's also not super old, and I think it is still being used. Definitely one of the more fun and recognizable memes.
I mean,
But that is
the funny thing, I
our
mean, this whole movie was a meme, right? I mean, the
yeah,
existence of the movie is because
yeah,
Nicolas Cage is a meme.
exactly.
Yeah,
But
you could
I
say
guess
that.
since then, I haven't seen any new ones popping up with his
Yeah.
latest work. So that's
We
been a
should
while.
still do an episode on meme films and memes in general so that our meme lord Dario can showcase his abilities and knowledge.
Useless knowledge, yeah.
Oh my God, no, don't say that. How dare you?
Definitely look up for that in the future. We might be doing that, huh? But yeah, thanks for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it and catch you next time.
Bye.
Ciao.